The Nintendo Switch is arguably one of the most versatile consoles we've ever seen. Its adaptable form factor going from a handheld gaming device to its dock setting where you can play it on a TV or monitor, which is just one of many reasons why people love the Nintendo Switch. Although I do love the Switch in handheld mode, I do play most of my games in a docked setting. Taking it one step further, I typically run my Nintendo Switch through a Elgato 4K 60 capture card and use its instant game view through my game recording software. This works surprisingly well, and it's become my favorite way to play the Nintendo Switch because basically I'm streaming the Switch through my PC, which gives me the added benefits of being able to multitask on my PC and communicate and chat if I'm in a Discord, Steam, or Xbox Live chat. And I'm still able to receive audio from the Nintendo Switch through my audio output device on my PC. I recently watched Wolf Den's video on the Genki Shadowcast and how Bob Wolf was able to play his Nintendo Switch through his computer, and that had me very curious because I do this on a regular basis with my Elgato 4K 60, but I haven't tried a lower performance capture card that is just plugged in through a HDMI interface opposed to PCIe like the 4K 60 Pro that I used, so I really wanted to see how this works. In Wolf Den's video, he also mentions that a very comparable device to the Genki Shadowcast would be something like a Elgato Camlink 4K, which happens to be a device I do have laying around, but it's something I typically just use for my camera. I never actually thought about using it as just a standard capture card, but apparently it's doable, and in this video I test it out and see how it does. And to spice things up a little bit more, I didn't just plug in the Camlink 4K into my desktop PC. I actually wanted to test it out on my laptop and see how it performs and what the experience is like. Running the Camlink 4K as a regular capture card is very simple. Basically, you just plug it into your desktop or laptop and run the HDMI cable from the Camlink 4K to your Nintendo Switch or other console of your choice. From there, you just need to open up your streaming software and adopt the capture device. In this case, I was using OBS Studio, but Streamlabs and other capture software would probably work just fine. And that's it, you're off to the races. And whenever I'm streaming my consoles to my PC, I always do the full screen projector mode in OBS, so that way I don't have to view it through OBS's interface, and I get a full screen, normal looking experience. The Shadowcast and the Camlink 4K do differ a little bit in setup. The Camlink 4K will actually plug into your PC or the receiving device, while the Genki Shadowcast plugs into the actual console via its HDMI connector. So the big question is, how is the gaming performance when streaming your Nintendo Switch through a capture card like the Camlink 4K? And in my opinion, the performance is surprisingly good. The Camlink 4K from Elgato really isn't marketed as a game capture device for different consoles. It's more geared towards people using it to connect it to a camera, hence why they call it the Camlink. So seeing that the frame rates seem pretty decent while gaming, and I didn't notice a whole lot of latency to my inputs or to visually on the screen, was kind of a shock to me. Now this isn't to say there is no latency, because there definitely is some when just streaming the device through a capture card, but Elgato does have technology in their capture devices known as Instant Game View, which gets the latency down pretty low. And in other tests that I've done with the 4K 60, it's down to milliseconds between the streamed capture and the HDMI pass-through. It's definitely a comfortable gaming experience in terms of slower paced games like Animal Crossing or turn-based strategy games like Pokemon. But if you're playing something a bit faster and more competitive like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, it definitely isn't the most optimal way to play faster paced games like that due to not having a HDMI pass-through. But even with that being said, casual gaming, playing something like Zelda Breath of the Wild like I did, felt extremely comfortable, and I didn't notice any latency hindering my experience. So what are the pros of running a setup like this, and why the would you want to run your Nintendo Switch through a laptop or PC in the first place? So the first main pro is just being able to capture or stream gameplay from your consoles, and along with that, being able to stream your consoles to your desktop or laptop is an extremely convenient feature that I have really come to love, and I don't think I could live without at this point. I don't miss the days of being in a chat with my friends while playing my Nintendo Switch and not being able to hear the audio coming from my Nintendo Switch. Streaming the Nintendo Switch to my PC allows me to not only receive the video and gameplay to my PC, but I also receive the audio and I'm able to control it pretty easily through the Xbox or Windows game bar. And streaming it through a PC can give you a wide variety of other things to multitask with aside from just chat like I mentioned. As far as streaming the Switch through a laptop, it's a really cool form factor. I don't think it's something that many people would use all the time, but this could be very useful on the go if you happen to have your laptop with you, Nintendo Switch, and the dock. You can increase the size of your display by streaming your Nintendo Switch's gaming output to the display on your laptop, and also giving you the ability to record or stream that gameplay. So what are the cons to running a capture card and streaming your consoles through that capture card to a PC, and more specifically doing it with something like the Camlink 4K or something like a Genki Shadowcast? The first notable thing is performance. While it looked really good on the Camlink 4K, there is going to be some sort of latency just streaming it directly from a capture card like the Camlink 4K, but that is the general case with pretty much all capture cards, even ones that have instant game view from Elgato. Another con to using a basic capture device like the Camlink or the Shadowcast is these particular capture cards don't have HDMI Passthrough. The HDMI Passthrough on other capture cards allows you to connect the console to your PC or laptop, and then from there connecting it to a monitor, so you aren't losing out on that performance and latency like we mentioned. So instead of viewing it through your capture software, you would be viewing it just through the actual display via HDMI. But the performance and feature loss that you get out of a lower end capture card like the Camlink 4K or Genki Shadowcast is made up for as far as price point goes. Both the Camlink 4K and the Genki Shadowcast both run under the $100 price point. The Camlink 4K is actually right around $100, and then the Genki Shadowcast is right around $50. But I have heard from Wolfden's video that the Genki Shadowcast does have a pretty notable latency issue, and the performance isn't great out of it, but it's definitely made up for in the $50 price tag. Other popular capture cards on the market that are more geared towards game capture and not so much camera capture like the Camlink do run a little bit higher in price, but give you those added features that we mentioned that aren't included in something like the Shadowcast or Camlink 4K. But the prices of these capture cards do tend to fluctuate, and right now from the looks of it, the HD60S, which is a very popular capture card from Elgato that gives you HDMI Passthrough, instant game view, and some other features, comes in at around $150. So if you are interested in doing more game capture and streaming the consoles to your PC, I would probably recommend something like that. Although in this video we did prove that the Camlink 4K is very capable of doing some gaming and streaming to your PC, I would probably recommend something like the Camlink 4K or the Shadowcast from Genki if you don't have a whole lot to spend on a capture card and you just kind of want to test the waters and do occasional recording and just streaming to your PC. And especially if they're more slower paced games. But if you want to stream and record all the time and you want HDMI Passthrough, I definitely recommend going with a little bit higher end capture card that is more geared towards game capture and game streaming. That's going to wrap up this video, guys. I really just wanted to test the waters with the Camlink 4K and see how it does with game capture and streaming my console to my laptop or desktop, as I was super curious to see how this would work after watching Wolfden's video, and I hadn't tried it on my laptop yet, and I was pleasantly surprised with the performance of the Camlink 4K and to see how it looked on my laptop. So what do you guys think? Is streaming your consoles to your PC something you'd be interested in? It wasn't something I thought of much at first, but once I started doing it, I've really grown to like it, and like I mentioned earlier, I don't think I could live without it now. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like on it, and if you want to see more tech related videos like this one, be sure to subscribe. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.